Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Kim-ADELE Randall, and I'm delighted to host the show Authentic Achievements, where I get to share amazing guest stories with the audience to help us all learn and grow. And today's show, again, is celebrating the incredible journey of someone who's turned their dreams into reality through authenticity, resilience, and purpose. I'm joined by the wonderful JOSELYN MARTINEZ, founder of Balanced Financial Solutions, a true example of how challenges can become the foundation for lasting strength. JOSELYN's career began as an accounting clerk in a manufacturing plant, and over the next 16 years, she rose through the ranks, gaining a wealth of experience across both private and public accounting. Known for her calm, steady approach under pressure, she successfully navigated high-stakes transitions, including helping guide a company from private to public status. Earning her Masters of Accounting with summa cum laude honours, JOSELYN now shares her experience not only with clients, but also as an adjunct instructor for her alma mater, mentoring the next generation of financial leaders. Driven by integrity, loyalty, and a deep passion for helping businesses thrive, she now empowers small businesses to take control of their finances, improving cash flow, reducing costs, and unlocking growth. JOSELYN, it is such a pleasure to welcome you to the show. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Kim, for having me here today.
I'm so looking forward to this conversation, and I love how you've taken adversity and turned it into like real strength. And I'd love for you to unpack that a little bit more for us.
Absolutely. I think I was, made for adversity, unfortunately, but I am Latina, so I was born to parents that had come over here at a very young age, and my life started with adversity. At a very, very young age, I had open heart surgery, and I am also hard of hearing and wear hearing aids. So I learned early on that life was going to be tough, but it didn't deter me. I became a very young mom at 18 years old. And so at that point in time, I decided I have to do something for not just for myself, but for child. So then I decided that I had taken a couple accounting classes in high school way back when, and decided this is my passion. I really love to do this. And that started my journey. I went to college, had 3 children, got married all in that same time, and worked full time. While doing all of that together, my passion for accounting and my passion for breaking that glass ceiling and making sure that my disability, the fact that I am Latina and I am a woman, was not going to stop me from reaching my goals.
Oh, I love that. There's, so many places in there that I'd like to get stuck into. But what an amount to go through. Any one of those experiences, having 3 children, having had open heart surgery, having to deal with your hearing challenges, anyone on their own would have been immense. But to put them all together and have them simultaneously. I mean, if ever there were an example of, instead of saying "why me," somebody says "try me." I mean, you clearly epitomise that, Joselyn. So how do you think you found that strength to push through?
I think that was sort of like twofold. I think that my faith in God and in myself, and also because I wanted to show my children that you can do it, even from adversity. You can do it. I wanted to be better for them, creating generational wealth, breaking that pattern. My mom and my grandmother were very, very strong women, and I definitely wanted to show them that I could show strength, but in a different way.
Oh, I love that, and you know, it resonates so much. I have a little girl, and she is definitely my North Star, because our children are always watching, aren't they? You know, I'm always very conscious that our children don't learn by what we say and what we do. They learn by how we are and who we are. And so we kind of have to constantly model, don't we? Even if it's tough, we have to constantly get out there to say, you know, I say to her all of the time, there's nothing in the world you can't do as long as you are kind and you keep trying. Because you know, everything we try doesn't always work. But if we keep getting back up, then actually we find a new way, don't we? We find an opportunity to learn something that we didn't know before, and that gives us a better vantage point. So how I mean, obviously you've now set your own business up. How's that gone? Because lots of people have got a real desire. I know lots of the people listening and watching, you know, have that desire in them. They have that. There's something in there that they think, oh, this is for me. But the entrepreneurial journey is not. It's not for the faint-hearted, is it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I went to public accounting, and I realized that there was much more to this than what I was doing. When I was in private accounting, I worked for a really, really small company-owned, family-owned company. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. It was so family oriented. I felt at home. I felt that I could make a change. And that was the biggest thing. I could be part of the change. Unfortunately, when they went public, that was no longer a possibility for me. And I felt like I also, by that same token, realized that at the top, there were less of me, less females, less Latinas, it was boardrooms full of men. And I was like, we are so underrepresented here. Then that lit the fire to go out on my own and start my own business, because I saw a need, not only in myself, but also because I saw a need for females. Female business owners are underrepresented. And I also feel like they just don't feel confident enough. And I knew that I can give them that empowerment that I had.
I love that, and you know that also resonates. I remember getting my first board level role, and almost people going, "Oh, I've got one of these at home. I must compliment her on the dress." It's like, no, I didn't get here because I dress well, because I worked really hard to get here. But actually, you know, you were on your own, and I imagine that must have been almost triply hard, in that you one were in there on your own as a female, then two possibly in there on your own as Latino, and then three possibly in there on your own with hearing challenges. So and we don't operate at our best, do we, if we feel so isolated?
Yes.
And so we need better diversity and inclusion, because if we don't have that at the top, how are we really going to serve the people that we want to serve? Because we're not representing them fully. But I love that you're now you've taken that into the entrepreneurial world, because for a lot of the businesses I work with, that are often led by female leaders, but actually numbers aren't always necessarily the thing that they feel most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked with a number where they're good sized businesses. They've built their business to in the early tens of millions. But when you ask them about their numbers, they go pale and look at you and go, "I don't like the numbers. I see my accountant once a year, and they make sure everything's okay." And trying to get them to understand that actually that they're giving away their power by not understanding the numbers, not understanding the triggers. Having somebody like you come in must be invaluable for them. So how do you help them overcome that fear and understand that actually they're not scary, they're actually really helpful?
I absolutely agree. A lot, if not most, of my clients come across as scared and afraid, and how I help them is education. I'm a huge proponent of education. I have preached education my entire life. Fun fact, I wanted to be a teacher when I was young, and that was my dream. I was going to be a school teacher, and clearly that was not what had happened, but full circle. I am an instructor now, and have been for many years. Education is a huge component of my business. I thrive off of educating my female small business owners in understanding that story behind the numbers. You can have tax accountants, CPAs, CFOs, whatever it is that you have making business decisions, but you as an owner need to own that and understand the numbers.
Yeah, it's so true, because one of the things I've found in my career is the problems show up in the numbers, but they manifest in the people. And unless you understand it, you've got people still over here trying to do the maths, and the reality is the answer's over here, the people, and the what we need to be doing differently, or how we need to better educate the people around us on the part that they play. And if we don't know that because we're scared of it, then we're missing a huge part of the equation, aren't we? A part of the ability for us to really drive our mission home.
Yeah, absolutely. You show up confidently when you understand that story. Even if you're not the one making that decision, you show up in a boardroom full of men very confidently if you know what your numbers are.
That's so true. I must admit, it was one of the things that I was very fortunate. I loved maths and I loved numbers. So, and it did help. It helped in that kind of in that confidence, because people saw that you weren't afraid of those things, saw that you were able to make informed conversations about them, or ask relevant questions that allow us to open a broader conversation. That actually, particularly as business owners, is often needed, because, as we say, we get to the top, as you so rightly said, JOSELYN. There's less of you, but take that into the entrepreneurial SME world, and that's even truer, because there's very often only one owner. There's only one that's sitting in that spot that's carrying the weight of that organisation, the responsibility for all those people that work for you and their livelihoods. It's quite it's a lot to bear, isn't it? To then not feel like you're getting all the support that you need to feel confident in that space.
Yeah, I can't count how many times I have onboarded clients that come to me and say, I just feel so stupid. I feel so dumb. And the person I'm working with isn't helping me. They're just kind of like pushing me to the side and doing the numbers, and that's it. I just don't understand what I'm doing. And it breaks my heart, because they would be so much more empowered and powerful if they understood their numbers, to take the time to educate, and so that they can make informed decisions, so that when they are at the top and they have their entire business on their shoulders, this is the one area you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, I love that, because it is the one that people worry about the most, isn't it? Worry about the most, and then very often, because they're feeling unempowered, worry about it the most, but feel they've got the least control over it. And you mentioned around them feeling not good enough, them feeling dumb. And we know that actually, imposter syndrome is rife, irrelevant of whether you're an entrepreneur or you're not an entrepreneur. We all have that opportunity to be harsh with ourselves, to be unkind. But if you aren't able to find, I always suggest that if people find their Thrive Hive, the people that they can surround themselves with that are going to tell them the truth. That it's not like just sell them anything, but tell them the truth, but be honest and be on their side. And it sounds like that's what you're doing in kind of what you deliver in that accounting, is giving them the power, but giving them also the confidence that there's a fallback and also a safe space to learn.
Mm-hmm. Because
often, I remember many years ago being a mortgage advisor, and the person came in and was like, I just feel really silly. And I was like, well, you don't need to, I only know this because I'm paid to know this. Someone paid me to learn it, so I've learned it. So if I came in to do your job, I wouldn't know how to do it. So I would probably feel equally stupid. So let's leave the feelings stupid at the door, and we can just go with it. But it's how we enable people to feel at ease with the fact that they're not stupid. They've just not learned this yet.
Yeah, exactly. I tell all of my clients, you're not stupid. You just don't know. You don't understand. And what you don't know, you don't know. And you're asking, all of the questions are good questions because you just don't know. And so we compound that with feeling inadequate or not enough. Because running a business and being an entrepreneur, that comes with the territory. You're in constant feeling of, am I good enough? Am I going to make it? Is my competition going to take me out? Let's try and help those feelings by being confident in your numbers, but also understanding where you need to do better. Because I don't just educate, I help you learn so that you can do better, so that you understand, this is where I need to lead my business. This is how I need to bring it together. Because it's not all good news, right? We run our business, but it's not always all good news. But we have to be prepared to understand that and pivot and make changes and decisions.
I love that. And that's so true, because it isn't always good news. And actually, we can want to put our head in the sand and like go, just it's ugly over there, I don't want to look. But the reality is we have to look, because we have to be in control of it. If not, it's going to be a much harder piece of news than before. But I think it sounds to me like one of the things that you're doing with your clients is creating that psychologically safe space for them to look under the carpet and then make active choices about how they fix it. Because once we know what the problem is, we're in a better place to fix it than if we are just imagining what the problem is. We could be imagining the wrong one, couldn't we?
And that's why I say this is where empowerment comes from. This is where power moves come from. Even if it's bad news and you're making the changes and you're looking, it's funny because I literally make my clients look so that we can make those decisions. We can pivot. That's empowerment. Those are power moves. Just because something is not going well or it's not going as well as you want it to doesn't necessarily mean that's it. That's the end. This is how small entrepreneurs end up in huge companies. You know what I mean? Think about Apple. Think about all those companies. They started somewhere. They made a lot of bad moves. They pivoted. They looked at their numbers. You got to have that backbone.
I love that. It's so true. It reminds me, I love a quote. And I think it was Thomas Edison that said, I didn't find the way to invent the light bulb. I found 10,000 ways not to invent the light bulb. But the passion and the drive was there, the ability to go and look at those mistakes and want to do something different with it, rather than look at them and then take them as more things to beat yourself with.
Exactly.
That can be the part, isn't it? It's like, how do you take people on that journey to go, okay, it's a mistake. We need to acknowledge it. We need to understand it. And then we need to do something different with it. If not, actually, it really is just a mistake. we need to, unless we do something different, unless we learn from it and do something else. So how do you find people go on that journey, from that?
I think that one thing that my clients have to be is open, right? Because we're going to take a look at something, especially if you haven't looked at it in a while or you haven't looked at it at all. You have to be open to what's going to be there. That's a bigger thing. And open communication. Like, I will handhold some of my clients until they feel confident enough to go through their numbers on their own. I take them through the journey of understanding it at their level. So whatever their concept of understanding accounting is, bookkeeping, accounting, finances, reporting, I take them on that journey as far as, this is what you understand. We're going to start here and move you through it so that you feel confident in what I'm trying to say. And then if we have to make some decisions, some of them are difficult decisions, but they feel very safe in making those difficult decisions with me, because I've created that space for them to be able to say whether or not they can have employees, or they have to let go of the employees that they do have, or whether or not they themselves can get paid, or whether or not they can grow the way they want to as quickly as they want to. These are all situations that are stressful. They're worrisome. These are affecting their everyday lives, whether they provide for themselves, their families, or their employees. So it's either hand-holding, understanding, educating, having the empathy, the compassion that these are humans on the other side. They're just not robots or computers. They're humans that are trying to create their dreams and provide for themselves, their families, and their employees.
Oh, that's so true. And what's really lovely about what you're doing is you're meeting them where they are and then bringing them to where you are so that they can learn at their pace. In that environment of actually acknowledging that there's so many other things going on. You know, as human beings, we live messy, emotional lives, don't we? That don't always go to plan, and they don't always flow the way we would like them to. And so that is also true of everybody that works with us. They too have got all these things going on. So, having that ability to understand that emotion and work within that and that empathy, but also be really good at the numbers and the fact finding, it is quite a rare skill, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you have to balance it, right? Because, as I said before, it's not something you find at the top, right? You don't find the empathy, the compassion, the feelings, the emotions, and the humanizing all of those at the top. You find more fact finding and hard decisions. Stop making. So it's a balance to be able to hold a space for their emotions and being empathetic and compassionate, but also leading them towards, okay, we have to make these decisions and you have to run this with an iron fist as far as your numbers are concerned.
Yeah, that's so true. I remember many years ago having to unfortunately convince the board that now was the time we needed to do a significant restructure, because waiting would have meant you cut harder, you cut deeper. But after you've made the decision, how you then deliver it to the people has to be done with empathy and compassion, because they're people and they've got livelihoods and they've got, and I remember the night before them saying to me, Kim, are we ready? And I was like, well, ready's wherever going to be. And they went, oh, what do you mean? Like, should we postpone? And I went, no, what I mean is we've factored in everything we possibly could know. What I don't know is what this piece of news, when added to whatever burden those 1,800 people are already carrying, I don't know what that's going to do, nor could I ever know, because by the time I got around all 1,800 of them, something would have changed in one of the ones at the start. Yep. So all I can do is hold the space for them to be able to deal with whatever comes up for them and do that empathetically. And I think that's sometimes the bit that people find confusing, isn't it? How can you do the hard decisions? How can you make those difficult, financially driven often decisions and still be empathetic? But it is absolutely possible, isn't it, to do both?
It's definitely possible to do both. It's a hard balance, but I will always say that it's definitely possible to do both. You just have to be well versed in both. I say that, my strength is in finances, in numbers, in business books. But I'm also, let's not take away the fact that I'm also a mom. I'm also a woman. I'm also a wife. Let's not take those things away either. Those are part of who I am. My whole story is part of who I am. So I bring that to the table with me. I carry that with me because it helps me balance and it helps me show both sides of that.
Oh, I love that. I think that is the whole part, isn't it? It's like when we can bring our whole selves, when we can be all of who we, all of our, because we are the sum of all of our experiences, aren't we? And we used to years ago, or maybe it was definitely where I was in financial services for many years, and it was like, you leave your problems at the door, and when you're here, you do these things. It's like, neuroscientifically, that is impossible because your emotional brain responds 24 times faster than your thinking brain. So the emotional response is going to happen even if you tell it you're supposed to have left it at the door. It's like they're not going to work. But when you bring all elements of yourself, all of that lived experience, the negotiation skills I've learned since becoming a mother certainly outweigh the ones I had before, and I thought I was pretty good before. But once you have to negotiate with like a little only just verbal person that you're like, oh my goodness, and they have such tenacity, you really level up your skill set, don't you?
Yes. And in carrying who I am, all the parts that I play in my life has allowed me to have my clients open up to me in ways, right? I know more about my clients and their personal lives, their journeys. I know about their children. I know about, things that are happening. So they see me just like them. I'm not just someone that does the numbers. I am someone that can understand their life, what their lives are going through, their life story. And I will always say that having that emotional piece of it is key. It's important. It humanizes you to your clients.
Yeah, it's so true. And at our core, I think all of us are wanting to be listened to, understood, and respected. And that doesn't mean to say we never disagree, but we disagree, we don't disrespect. And so recognizing that actually you're supporting the whole person seems quite amazing. I think it's great that that's what you're doing. But would I be fair in saying that sounds relatively unique in the accounting world?
Yes. Yes.
Because it's not the image you have, is it? It's not. And I say that with total of for one of my best friends who is also an accountant and is one of the kindest, most empathetic people I know. So I have to say that because if not, she'll kill me. But it is rare, isn't it? It's rare that actually, if you are really good at numbers, you are also going to create that space for people to share all of their dreams and all of their ups and downs, particularly. And I'd love your thoughts on this, particularly in the current climate of the compare and despair society. So we see the seemingly perfect views of everybody else's life, and then we compare them to the messy reality of our own and find ourselves severely lacking. So I imagine that is a real additional benefit for your clients that they're getting that.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said before, being an entrepreneur is it's a lonely journey most times, and we're constantly comparing ourselves to others and seeing, once we check one box, we'll find another one that we have to check because someone is doing better, or at least we think they're doing better. Appearances obviously are deceiving, especially in our world now, in today's day and age. So I keep it very real with my clients, but I also tell them that to focus on their own journey and control what you can control, which is your own business, and make decisions based on that. Emotionally, if you need to do that work, then do that work, but do it for you. Don't do it because you're trying to compare yourself or trying to climb somebody else's ladder.
Oh, that's so true. In fact, I happened to share a ladder quote just last week with a client, and I do always make sure I reference where the quote came from. I said, as Colin Firth said in Mamma Mia 2, there is absolutely no point climbing to the top of the ladder if it's pressed against the wrong wall.
I like that one.
So that just came to mind. I always have to say, it makes me smile when people go, seriously, you're quoting Mamma Mia? And it's a good quote. It's a good quote.
Yeah, I like that one.
The source, if actually the quote delivers what we want the quote to deliver. And I think, what you're doing in helping people to kind of control the controllables, to look inward and go, actually, this is the bit these are the bits we can change. Mm-hmm. These are the bits that are within our gift. Mm-hmm. Everything else is not really relevant to us. It's we might be able to learn from it.
You're right.
We might be able to be inspired by it even. Mm-hmm. But we shouldn't let it hold us back from achieving what we want to achieve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, myself as a business owner, how many times have I questioned myself or questioned, am I growing fast enough? Am I moving fast enough? Am I doing enough? It happens to all of us, right? I've done it many times in my life. I have difficulty hearing. I look a certain way. I speak a certain language. I'm young compared to people who've been in my, on my journey. I should be older. And you could run a continuous loop and it'll never end.
Oh, that's so true. And unless we kind of go in and kind of look at that inner work, those bits that go, what have I been telling myself for all these years? Because very often we're still driven by the things that happened to us as we were growing up, when we were younger. And then if we don't go back and look at them, they become the unwritten operating system that delivers our life, doesn't it? And I always makes me smile. I'm looking at my phone now and going, the second there comes up with a software update on your phone, you immediately run to put, must immediately update, must not fix all those bugs.
We have to have the latest. We have to have it.
I need to get rid of all those bugs that are bothering me. But I look at it and go, as I understand it, we kind of create these, I call them I am statements, at the age of 7, and we enforce them at the age of 14, and we embed them at the age of 21. And if we don't go back and look at them, they are the operating system of our life. Yeah. And I'm 52 52 now. And you think, that would mean that I was running on 31-year-old outdated software. Wow. That's
yeah.
One moment's pause. How many updates have there been at that time? And so actually what you're doing is helping people kind of start to unpick some of those things, start to see where maybe some of the things they've been saying aren't needed anymore. They're bugs that we can fix. They're things that we can remove from that thinking. Would that be fair?
Yeah, it's definitely fair to say. Even myself as an example, I've had to remove things that on my journey to get here have been a part of my life since I was very young. Not having a father around, not good enough. He's not around. I'm not good enough. But now it's like, no, that had more to do with him than it did with me. And so to unpeel that, I know that I can conquer other things, that my worth isn't within his hands or anyone else's. And it's something that I can share compassionately and empathetically with my clients who feel that they're not good enough for whatever reason. That's something you control. Your worth is what you control. And how successful your business is something you control.
Oh, I love that. That so resonates. I say to my little girl all of the time, everything you need is already within you. So you've just got to believe it. You've got to see what we can see, and then just allow yourself to be, but never give that away. that's yours. But I probably did that coming from a place of having given mine all away and then having to learn to bring it back in, as you say. I can't believe where the time's going, and I've still got so many questions to ask you. But
this is so much fun.
But I would like to just touch on a piece where you started off and you said earlier in the conversation that you'd always wanted to be a school teacher, and yet now you're doing that. You're now instructing that next generation, and you're doing it around something that is clearly your passion and your drive, which is the accounting and the numbers. So tell me a little bit about that.
That's been an exciting journey, right? Like you said earlier, I wanted to give back. I wanted to teach, and I knew that education was powerful. But I couldn't see myself doing it full time. I didn't want to leave my passion behind. And so I was like, I'll teach accounting. And so at the time, I taught cost accounting, which is really geared towards manufacturing primarily. And so just like my life has geared towards being an entrepreneur, I now teach financial accounting, which is business books and things of that nature. So it's very, very, very much aligned. I've learned a lot about my students, all different types of students and their dreams and their goals. And it's so nice to be able to give them my personal life story and where I come from and how far I've come, and just to impart that wisdom and that motivation to them to achieve their goals as well.
Oh, I love that. It reminds me that, life so often only really makes sense in the rearview mirror. I in a random weird place, I'm just about to publish my first ever children's book, which you think is a bit weird because I talk about leadership all of the time. And yeah, I have to reflect back on the fact when I was my little girl's age, 8, I used to write children's books all of the time. It was, and then I convinced myself I wasn't good enough. It wasn't for me. It wasn't enough. And then, 40 odd years on, actually, I'm doing it accidentally. Wasn't intentional at all. So I love that actually you've managed to combine your passions to actually keep them alive. So what's next for you?
In regards to my business, I am now putting together a bookkeeping course for those business owners that are just entering, just starting to become business owners. They don't have the finances to have someone like me, but they can take that course and start to feel confident and empowered over their business books. That's what's next for me. I also intend to gear my business towards offering more CFO fractional services, going back to where I was before, moving on up and hopefully providing that service for women, female business owners that are ready for that next step.
Amazing. I love that. And could you just share as well before you go, who do you help and how do people get in touch with you?
I help primarily female business owners in their business books, finances, reporting, things of that nature. Those are primarily who I help. All sorts of industries. I've been involved in all sorts of industries all over the United States. I even have a client in Puerto Rico, so that is very near and dear to my heart. I also, people can reach me at my website, which is www.balancefinancial.solutions with an S at the end. Also on Instagram at balance_financial.
Amazing. And we will make sure all of that is in the notes below. JOSELYN, it's been an absolute delight. I cannot believe where the time's gone.
My goodness, it went by so fast. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, I'm so glad. So did I. I look forward to us continuing our conversation. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today and sharing your wisdom, your journey, and your heart. Your story is such a powerful reminder that our greatest struggles often hold the seeds to our greatest strengths, especially when we approach them with curiosity, integrity, and a willingness to learn. So thank you so very much for being here with us today. And for anyone listening who's ready to take greater confidence of their finances or turn uncertainty into confidence, I really encourage you to connect with JOSELYN and the incredible work she's doing at Balance Financial Solutions. As she said, you can find out more by visiting www.balancefinancial.solutions. And I'll make sure that link is in these notes below. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Authentic Achievements. If you've enjoyed the episode, please do follow, rate and share. And until next time, I hope you remember that it's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. Till next time, take care.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.